Okay guys, it's one of our favorite times of the year. It's December, which means that we can look back at the entire year and see how we did with our spending. Now you guys know that we normally do this on a quarterly basis, but it's fun at the end of the year to see how we really did compared to our budgets. And also this is where we like to compare between the two of us to see who spent more money. Kind of fun to do that too. It's always like a fun, friendly competition, even though we already kind of know from keeping track throughout the year.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Now you guys also know that we use our budget template or our budget tracker every single month. So what that means is that we know exactly how much money we spend down to the exact cents. We also know it by category and by month as well. So we can really compare in these different ways.
Literally.
And also hopefully you know that we also always have our budget tracker linked down below. It's free. If you haven't used it yet, you can check it out. And even if you have, we're in the process right now of making some tweaks to it for 2025.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be even better than before. If I'm a little biased, but I do think it's better than before.
It'll be better.
Yeah, so make sure you check that out too. Now, as a quick refresher, or for anyone who's new, we're self-employed and we actually work together full time. And we also pay ourselves out the exact same salary. So this year, that's been $4,459.91 a month. We did that every single month of this year. So it's nice and consistent actually for comparing purposes. And also just in case you're curious, that is our take home pay. So it's post-tax. That's the amount we actually have. Now, of that amount, of the $4,459.91, we both automatically invest $2,000 a month each. So both of us have set this goal. It's not even our goal. It's what we do every single month. No matter what, we've stuck with it this year. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But anyway, that's what we've invested. And then we spend from the other $2,459.91. At least that's our goal. Now this is where things get a little bit different though. We both have that amount to spend from, but we have different budget categories, different budget goals, and therefore we spend different amounts of money and in different ways. So that's kind of what we're gonna go over in this video. Now before we get too far into it, I should mention that we do actually split our rent, internet, utilities, and groceries 50-50. So those four expenses will be basically the exact same between the two of us. Now, if you guys have been on our channel before, you know that normally when we do these videos, both for the year review and also quarterly, not monthly, quarterly, I normally end up spending more money than Dennis, but I'm a little bit excited to see if that actually is true looking at the entire year overall. So let's jump into it and let's see how much money we spent and who spent more.
Okay, so let's start off with the categories that are the exact same for the both of us. So that's gonna be rent, internet, utilities, and groceries. Okay, so the first category being rent, we spent a total of $11,540 for the entire year each, and that went up from $950 to $970 in June. So I don't know if you guys remember, but this is actually our second bump, I think. So I think at first we were paying $925 a month, and then it went up to $950, and then it went up to $970. Now you'll notice that these aren't like crazy increases. We're rent controlled, right? So our landlord can't bring it up by a lot. Now, if we take a look at the internet bill, we spent $438.09 each. So that actually also went up from $3107 to $3672. Now utilities, so that's $337.55 each. So that's an average of about $30.68 per month, per person per month. So for groceries, we spent a total of $3,618.04 each, and that's not including December. And that worked out to being an average of about $328.91 on average per month per person. And that's slightly above what we try to budget for. So we usually budget $300 a month, and that's typically what our goal is. It kind of went up slightly, but you know, kind of is what it is. It's food, right? We gotta eat. So the next thing that we're gonna go over are the variable expenses. And you'll notice that these are not only gonna be different between me and Steph, but this is also where we spend differently, even if the categories are the same. So this would include things like restaurants, coffee shops, public transportation, taxi services. So for us, that's typically Ubers, massage or physiotherapy. So massage for her, physiotherapy for me, dentist appointments, personal care, gifts, donations, clothing, travel, subscriptions, fitness, and other. We have an other category. So yeah.
So we're gonna share each of those different categories. We'll each share what our total was, and then we'll talk a little bit about why for each one too. So let's jump into that. Okay, so the first variable expense category is restaurants, which I think is my most big category every single year.
Yeah.
So drum roll for my total. This year I spent a grand total of $2,289.92 on restaurants. Now, I don't know if that sounds like a big number to you. I feel like it's hard without context or comparables with these categories in general.
That's true.
But this is an average. I did the math. I crunched the numbers. It's an average of $190 almost exactly per month.
Okay.
Now, my goal per month was $150. So I'm definitely a little bit over that. Not too bad, actually, like somewhat close to it, especially since earlier this year, I feel like I stuck to it pretty much every single month. You guys know this if you saw the quarterly videos too. It was towards the end of the year that I went decently over, which brought the overall average up.
Yeah.
But that's what I spent on average. Now, this is a massive improvement from last year. We're not going to look at last year's number for every category, but for this one, especially since it was one of my biggest goals.
So much better.
Oh my God. Okay, so what did I just say the total was? Like $2,200, almost $2,300?
Yeah.
Last year, my total was $4,700 on eating out. $4,700. Absolutely insane. And my monthly average was $390 instead. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah. I don't even know if I told you
It's
that.
crazy when you look at it from a monthly perspective. Wow.
Yeah. So my average, which is feels insane. It's just because I wasn't tracking it. Well, I was tracking it actually. I just wasn't on top of my budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, last year, $390 a month average. This year, $190 a month average. So even though it's a little bit over budget, I'm insanely happy.
You also made some big changes.
Oh my gosh. So the biggest
made some
one
big changes, yeah.
was my $0 Uber Eats challenge. So because I spent no money on takeout, that's pretty much exactly what helped here. I spent pretty similar to what I would have spent on eating out at restaurants last year this year. So my goal for next year is to bring it down a little bit more, but I'm super happy with this. Couldn't be more happy. Very happy.
Yeah.
So now I want to know
awesome.
how much you spent on restaurants.
So, drum roll please. I spent a total of $2,489.24. So mine is actually higher than Steph's for once,
Yay.
which to me is kind of crazy. But if I look at the year, to be honest, I was expecting it to be significantly higher than it was, and also significantly higher than yours. Just because I had so much family come from overseas, I had family visiting, so a lot of the times I was the one who was just pulling out the credit card and swiping on those meals, right? So it's I don't even know what mine was last year.
I was gonna tell you. I looked it up.
What
So
was it?
surprisingly, you still spent a lot less than last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your restaurant total for last year was over $3,000.
Wow.
And what is it now? 24 something? Almost 25? See,
24,
I purposely did not tell him this at all until the video because I thought it would be a nice, fun surprise. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So somehow we both spent insane amounts on restaurants. I think our year was just crazier last year, and we just, not an excuse, just a fact that we weren't on top of it. So even you spent a lot less this year. It's just crazy to you that it's more than me.
The more you know.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Exactly.
You know what's funny? I feel like Steph kind of is my benchmark though, because in a lot of these categories, she is typically higher.
But
I think we might see a trend changing here,
yeah,
but
so far not yet. So far, 1-0 for you, and then the winning/losing game. Okay, so moving on to the next category for the variable expenses, it's coffee shops. Now, I think some people would just put their coffee shop budget in with restaurants. For me, I like to go out and actually buy a coffee sometimes. I feel like I want to have it separately, more to control that category and really know what I'm spending. It's just another way of breaking it down. I don't know if you would have a coffee shop's budget if I didn't, but
probably not.
Yeah, you just lump it all together. But anyway, coffee shops this year, I spent $481.70. Now, again, don't know if that sounds high to you or not, but if I look at the monthly average, it's only $40 a month, which is below my budget of $50 a month. So that means if it's below budget, I'm totally happy.
So for me, for coffee shops, I spent $193.17. And obviously that's significantly less than Steph's. But I also don't really drink coffee. So a lot of the times it's either me getting a hot chocolate and a coffee for Steph, or it'll be me getting coffees and just breakfast items for my siblings, right?
Yeah.
So I'll usually just throw that under my coffee shop budget. But yeah, I don't really spend that much in this category, and I don't think I'll start to spend money.
Yeah, this one by category. Even if we just start on or under budget, I'm gonna be more in this category.
Yeah.
So we're tied up naturally. So the next category is public transportation. Switching away from food now. Public transportation, I spent a total of $543.40. Now this one's oddly specific, mostly because you guys, if you've been on our channel before, know that we mostly walk or take public transit, and we normally preload our transit cards. So normally it's a whole number. The only reason mine's $43.40 extra is because I kept forgetting my Presto card a few times this year, which is our transit pass name. So I would just tap my credit card instead. I guess it's nice that they do that now, but also kind of annoying from a budgeting perspective.
Yeah.
But we don't really budget, and I don't have a number assigned to this budget goal because it's just whenever I need to take public transit, I'm going to. So that's how much I spent this year.
So I spent $750 on mine. So once again, I'm higher than Steph, which is unfortunate. But I do understand why this happened. So during the summertime, I was commuting back and forth between our place and my parents, and I was going a lot, literally throughout the week, just within this specific period of
like a
time.
few week period.
So if I'm taking, especially the more expensive train, it's going to be higher, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And also it's just the time of the month that we auto reload, and he reloads at 50 and mine at 100 just randomly. That's just what we set up. So my guess is mine's close to reloading again. Hopefully it won't be before the end of the year. So it stays even. So that's it for public transportation. Now on to taxi services, which like Dennis said, it's mostly just Ubers for us. I don't know why we gave it such a formal name even, but it's taxi services.
You can
So
change it.
for the, I guess we could. For me, I spent $285.84. I'm pretty sure this is a lot less than last year too. I'd have to go and double check that. We'll put it on screen actually, because I feel like it's interesting. But again, I don't have a set budget for taxis, for Ubers. My goal is to spend as little as possible. Most months I think I didn't spend very often. It's normally like we're running late, gotta go to the train station, a $7 Uber here.
Yeah.
Or this year I also Ubered to book club every once in a while with my friends. They live a little bit farther away.
Yeah.
So sometimes I did that. What about you?
So for me, I spent $99.41. And obviously that's not a lot. Like I can't say I'm someone who's constantly taking Ubers. It's obviously less than Steph, so check mark. That's
Yes.
awesome right there.
I lost that category.
But what I will say is that I did take a few Ubers. So for example, me and my sister went to a concert. So, coming back home from the concert, we took an Uber. I could probably count on on both my hands, the amount of times that I actually hopped into an Uber. So
Yeah, not very often.
Not often.
Even for me, I feel like it's not that often, but I'm a little bit more likely to be like, whatever, I'm going to call an Uber. But okay, so the next category is massage and physiotherapist. You guys might know that I get one massage every single month. It's exactly $146.90. So times 12, that ends up being $1,762.80. I feel like seeing it like that, it's actually one of my bigger individual expense categories because it's almost $2,000 for the year, which is a lot. For me, it's not. I think people see that one, and that's the one category that gets people in my like monthly what I spend.
That's true.
So like your massage every month, but I have very severe scoliosis. For me, it's definitely a healthcare thing. I did this before when I had benefits. Now we just don't, so it comes out of my personal budget. Definitely not something I'm willing to give up. It's really important to me. So that just is what it is. Although we are at some point, people suggest this, and it's a good idea. Going to look into some sort of like self-employed business health spending account. So that'll be nice to potentially switch to. Stay tuned for that next year. Now, you actually normally don't have anything in this category, but you do a little bit this year.
Yeah, so for me, I spent $320 on physiotherapy, basically. So I basically had put off just severe injuries, and I at some point told Steph about it. She said, I don't know why you didn't tell me about this like
That's how I
5
felt.
years ago, but she got me to go to the physiotherapist. And if you know anything about physiotherapy, a lot of the time they give you homework, right? So you might go a little bit more in the beginning, but once you actually get what you need to get from them, they typically just kind of send you on your way, and now you have your exercises that you should be doing at home. So $320, not the same as $1,000, but that's why.
Yeah, that is why. So I guess I lost that category again too. Okay, so the next one, similar theme of healthcare, is dentist appointments. Exact same thing, exact same reason why we spend in this category. For me, I spent $649 exactly. This was 2 trips to the dentist this year. They were, I think, about like $250 and $300 something each, depending on what I got done that time.
For me, I spent, let's see. I spent $1,440. So mine is significantly higher than Steph's, but I also did go to see like a specialist pretty much every single year. So that just kind of adds to that.
chunk.
And I don't understand.
The retainers.
Oh, yes,
knew you
yes,
forgot.
yes. We talked about this before. Steph put my retainers in the dryer, the washer and the dryer.
Oh, God.
So then I had to buy new ones, and that it's in and of itself was like $600. So
Yeah, so I guess I'm slightly responsible. Hey, it's good to refresh the
yeah,
retainers, maybe.
I like my new ones now.
Yeah, so anyway, so that's why you're higher in that category. Okay, so the next category is personal care. This one's obviously a little bit more broad, I guess. Personal care to me is any specific like me toiletry item, makeup goes in here. What else? Anything that's like literally like a body personal care type of item goes in here. So for me this year, I spent $1,942.97. Now, I'm definitely over my monthly budget for this in general, but not by a lot. I think if I remember correctly, this is similar or less than last year. I definitely didn't go over. I think I was just a bit more intentional with my personal care spending this year, but for the most part, if I run out of a product, I replace it. That's kind of how I do it. I didn't really buy a lot of new items. It's more, I run out of something, I buy a new one. That's kind of is what it is for this category for me.
That makes sense. For me, I spent $812.43. So similar to Steph, for me, this is like lotion, I don't know, just like regular,
Toiletries,
toiletries, like Just stuff like that. Pretty simple.
All right, so the next category is gifts/donations. For me this year, I spent $2,831.59. Now, again, This is another, I know, it kind of sounds really significant. This category I definitely spent more than last year too, actually. It's one of my main categories that went up, but I'm pretty happy. A lot of my spending went down, gifts went up. I'm okay if spending on other people is the category that went up.
That's good.
I'll take that. Now, I don't actually have like a set monthly budget for gifts. Instead, this would kind of just like fall under my other budget that I just have extra money in there, because gifts aren't the same every month, right? I'm not spending exactly $100 a month or something on gifts.
That's true.
It's more certain times of the year. So I got like Dennis's birthday. Obviously, a big chunk of this is Christmas spending for me personally, which I just finished up recently before filming this video. So that all got captured in here. But yeah, that's kind of it for gifts, and donations too.
All right, so let's see the damage on mine. So I spent $2,178.43. Now, some of that is donations, but a big bulk of it is gifts. Like I said before, I had my cousins come from the UK. So really a big bulk of it happened, I would say probably in the span of just like a month?
Like a few weeks, a month.
Yeah. We took them to the CN Tower. We had this like really, really fun day, and it was just like, cousin fun. And apart from that, there's also the travel that's coming up. Some of that, we'll talk more about that, but some of that does also fall under the gift category. So that's pretty much it.
I think who was more there? I don't even remember now. Okay, I was still a bit more, but I'm not like a crazy amount, but I guess that goes to my tally. Okay, so next category, which I also already know. This one is also kind of like coffee shops. I'm going to spend more than you no matter what.
Okay.
Next one is the clothing category. This year in clothing, I spent $1,428.02. Now, to me, it kind of, Dennis thought I spent a lot on clothes this year. This is actually less than last year. I checked on this because I was
thought
curious.
You spent way more this year than last year.
No, I didn't. I spent less this year. It's because last year is actually when I spent more on clothes than I had in a lot of years.
Yeah.
I hadn't really restocked. I think the COVID years kind of did this, right? I was wearing a lot of like sweatpants and not a lot of new stuff. So
Makes
last
sense.
year I did more shopping. This year I think I was just a little bit more specific with it. And I didn't buy clothes early in the year, so everything I bought was almost all at the exact same time. Like seriously, in the same like 2 months or something. So I think that's why it felt like so much. And it's still a lot of money to spend on clothes, don't get me wrong. I think my goal is to bring that down again next year, so I keep going downwards. I'm not that upset about it though, because I'm very intentional with what I buy. There's nothing that I bought that I'm not going to wear. Yeah. I bought 2 new pairs of jeans. I bought a trench coat, which is a bigger ticket item too.
That's
new
true.
Sweaters. I'm getting into that stage of life, you guys, where I'm looking at all of the different like fabrics for every clothing item that I buy.
God.
And I've gotten him onto it too. I feel like we've created monsters.
It's ruined me.
Yeah, 100%.
I can't not look now.
Yeah, that's like the new thing. So anyway, it doesn't mean we're spending more money. Get some good sales. But it does mean that I'm kind of like restocking certain things like
less
that.
Plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, less plastic.
plastic.
So let's look at this for me. So for me, I spent what? $78.38.
I thought you were going to say it was a
wow.
lot.
Okay. That's like what? Like one? Oh, it is one item. I bought. Get this.
Yeah.
So I had this turtleneck that didn't fit me for years, and I'd wear it around this time of year, around the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So finally, Steph got me to throw it out, and I finally bought a new turtleneck. Now I will say it does feel like a fake turtleneck. Maybe Steph can explain what that means, but she basically got me to buy this fake turtleneck. I do like it. It is better than the other one that didn't fit me anymore. So that's a positive, but
tiny. It shrunk. You know when clothing items of a certain material literally shrink? That was it. He definitely needed a new one. It's a mock neck, guys. Basically, it's the turtlenecks that don't roll, right? It's
a fake turtleneck.
It looks very
nice. Let's call it what it is.
It looks really good, and it's of the new good material as well. But basically, Dennis did his first ever closet clean out this year. I'm very proud of him.
That is true.
So now he has more space in there. Okay, so clothing, obviously I spent more. I think it's hilarious he bought one item. Anyway, moving on to travel. Travel is a category that I actually spent $0 in this year. I don't have any major travel expenses that came out of my monthly budgeting and how I do it that way. We haven't done really any trips this year except for one business trip that we did earlier in the year, but I know that you have some updates for something that we have coming up in the travel category.
I do. All right, so here's the big drum roll for me, right? So everything has been more or less, similar, minus the last one we just covered. Yeah. But here is where we really separate, separate people. So I spent $6,998.36. Wow. Big. Travel. So basically, me and Steph along with my family, are traveling to Kenya, and basically I'm paying for some of that trip. So what that comes with is the big expenses, right? Yeah. So
Well, it's obviously a big trip too. Flights there are expensive. We're staying in Airbnbs when we're there. A few different things going on. But we're really excited. We'll be gone later this month, so we'll have some updates for you guys too. So at least you guys will benefit from us being gone.
Yeah, it's exciting.
But it definitely really changes obviously our budgets as well, or our overall spending. This is going to be, when you see the difference at the end, this is where a big part of it comes from.
By the way, like I feel good now, but seeing this number, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I was a mess.
Seeing stuff all together is, I think, a little bit jarring, but it's also really nice. This is your reminder to do this.
It is really nice.
It's good to see everything.
It is really nice.
Okay, so the last few ones we'll kind of fly through a bit faster now because we're through the bigger ones. Yeah. Subscriptions, I spent $150.96. For me, I'm pretty sure this is just Spotify for the entire year. What about you?
For me, I spent $284.64. So all of that is money directed towards Netflix.
So expensive, Netflix. It really is. It's gone up a lot. Okay, fitness, which we also separated out this year, which is good because we do basketball intramural sessions. That's pretty much where all of this money comes from. So we're almost the exact same, but you have some extra stuff. I know this. So I spent $748.26 on, I think, 3 or 4 basketball sessions, which go for several months at a time.
I spent $782.26. So I think mine's higher because I went out with some of my friends and we like rented a gym.
Then we have the other category. Obviously, other is kind of broad. For me, other was $1,774.04.
Okay.
This is also way less than my other category last year. Last year it included all my like bridesmaid expenses, which was obviously a one-off. I didn't do that this year. This year I actually looked it up because I was curious what my other would include, because for me it's kind of random. But I had books in here. We bought placemats this year, yoga blocks, any Amazon purchases I make, which is like vacuum filters and stuff like that. Google photo storage for the year, that was like $150. That I threw in other. Wow. I also, my big one actually, this is a notable one, I went to the eye doctor this year and I didn't have its own category because I haven't gone in years. I just knew that my vision was getting worse. So the eye doctor appointment and new glasses went into other. Oven mitts, dishcloths, things like that all go in the other category. I am going to see if I can split it out even more for next year because I think it's better to get more granular without going too crazy, but that's my total.
Okay. For me, for other, I spent $2,303.24.
Ooh, more.
Now, mine is more, again, this kind of sucks actually, the fact that I'm like this high on some of these categories, but it is what it is, right? It's better to like actually know what you spent. But the reason that my other category is higher is because we ended up renting cars along with just gas and parking and parking tickets and things that just suck that come with, renting a car sometimes. So yeah, that's I would say that's the bulk of it.
Yeah.
And then just like random things here and there. Yeah.
But car stuff is the biggest.
Car stuff is the biggest. I think next year we'll split that out.
That's one of the ones
because we've been finding ourselves actually renting cars more often. Mm-hmm. So yeah, might as well have its own category if we're gonna keep spending in that category.
Agreed. I will say I think people hear that and they think, oh, why don't you get a car? We definitely still spend less on transportation between Ubers, public transportation, and renting when we need to. So we're happy with this for now until we're out of the city. No cars on our radar. Last category is haircuts. So for me, I only spent money on one haircut this year. I went one time, I got it cut, I got it colored, the whole the whole setup, everything you do at the salon.
You guys would have seen the short form
Hopefully
video.
You saw it. So it's $793.65 on one appointment, which sounds crazy high. I get, and it is. By the way, it doesn't just sound like it is.
Yeah.
But I only went one time this year. So that's my total for the entire year. Ends up being a very small amount per month if I were to do it that way.
Okay.
So I'm okay with it.
For me, I spent $580 on haircuts. So I usually go every 2, maybe 3 weeks. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple for me.
That's where it ended up, yeah.
Pretty much routine.
Yeah. But I will say our differences for the year aren't that crazy.
It isn't that crazy considering, yeah.
And that's actually it. That's all of our categories for the variable expenses. So I didn't keep track. Like on screen, we'll have kept track for you guys, but I don't know who spent more categories. Maybe we'll go tally it up and we'll tell you when we wrap up the video.
It's probably me.
Okay, guys, so that's it for how much we spent this year on what and who spent more. By the way, we did tally up the categories because we were very curious, and it's actually a tie. You guys already know this, so it's not news to you, but it was 7-7, which is a big improvement for me from last year. So I'm pretty happy.
You know what? Based on that, I'll take it as a win.
Yeah, I'll take it as a win.
It's a win.
Also, the tie is kind of fun. I like it.
Based on how much I spent, it's a win.
Yeah, it's a win. I like it. I don't like that. That's funny. Okay, anyway, if you guys are wondering if we saved any money, of course we did. Hopefully you weren't wondering that. Hopefully you know. But we have a video coming next week that's going to go over how much money we made this year, including our year-end bonus, which you guys don't know yet. That's going to be new. Also, how much we saved and how much we invested. So make sure you stay tuned for that. That's the other side of the wrap-up for the year. And let us know in the comments below how much money you spent this year, or at least what your biggest category was. So anyway, we'll see you next week with that.